Hello and welcome to the Media Bubble podcast for all your bubblers. I'm Fredrik, he's Karol. Let's get this bubble started.
Hi everyone. I just wanted to ask. So what? So our fans are called bubblers? Is that the name we're going with?
I have no idea, I just made that up when we did the intro.
I mean, it's kind of fitting, and it's also will be kind of fitting when we start talking about the content of this episode.
Lots of bubbles popping.
Lots of bubbles. So the plan for today is to talk about Fantasia, the original one, not Fantasia 2000, which I double checked with you.
Yeah, we are just going to talk about Fantasia, the original movie, which if you want to have some backstory on this, I can give some to you if you want.
Go ahead.
Fantasia, the original, was released in 1940, and it was in the beginning it was a collaboration with Walt Disney and Leopod Stokowski. Stokowski was like the most famous conductor of his time, and the original kind of thing with the Fantasia was that it wasn't a full movie in the beginning. It was like one short with playing with classical music, and that was the Sorcerer's Apprentice, because Walt originally wanted to try to boost Mickey Mouse popularity back up after it had faded a little bit. But after seeing that the cost for that short was going up a bit, Walt kind of decided to, what if we made more of these, like more of these classical music segment with animation. And so they created a lot of more shorts to classical music, which made the film 2 hours long. And this was kind of a passion project for Walt at the time. He had high hopes for this. Unfortunately, though, those high hopes didn't really pay off, as it kind of failed at the box office department, and it was also kind of that Europe couldn't really help with box office, as they were in World War II at the time. And so this was kind of deemed a failure, because one thing that originally Walt kind of wanted with this film was that it was almost kind of like a theater experience, and these different segments would the film would be re-released and have some segments left in it, and switch some segments out and make new segments. And this was going to be some kind of bigger experience than just the normal cartoon.
So what you're saying to me, this was in a similar vein like Spider-Verse, where some scenes are different, some clips are a little bit like with minor changes. Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah, originally all the segments that was made for the film is this version that we have seen, but the kind of plan was that when the film re-released in theaters, because that was something you did at the time, it will switch some segments in and out, so new segments would be made.
That's interesting, but I guess it would also be difficult to explain, like financial wise, like for you to produce new segments for already made movie.
As I said, it wasn't. Unfortunately, it wasn't as successful as Walt had hoped, and it is. I guess since then it has become a very maybe Disney's most artful movie, and its longest too. Even though this is one of their older films, like the Disney's third feature film. It's still the longest film they have ever made.
When I saw the 2-hour movie mark, I sighed. Not gonna lie, I didn't think that an orchestra with this short movies playing in the background would be enough to keep my attention for 2 hours.
Yeah, that's kind of hard. I feel like with this movie, it also depends on kind of the segment. But I guess we can start to talk about the segment.
Yeah, let's go right ahead.
And then I guess the first segment that came up was Toccata and Fugue in D minor. Did I say that correct?
Fugue, yes.
I guess this is kind of the most artsy segment of them all, as this is kind of just how would I kind of explain the segment is, if you close your eyes and just kind of listen to the music, what is kind of the images that comes up in your head if you just listen, from what I could understand?
Yeah, exactly. This is just from what I remember, they mentioned 3 types of stories, or, well, not stories, 3 types of segments, one with which is this one. So pure music with no story, and the visuals are here to represent the feeling of it, not exactly what like, there's not exactly like an end to it, like a point. Then there's like a half story, half feeling, and at last there's story with music.
Yeah, there's ones where the story is very clear. There's one where, yeah.
But I have to say, Toccata and Fugue in D minor, this is the most visually interesting part for me. This is where I stopped for a moment and tried to like just vibe with the music. It's very calming. It's very very colorful, fanciful, dreamy.
So do you feel this movie peaked in the first segment?
I haven't said that yet, but that might be the case.
Yeah, it's very, yeah, it's kind of like if you just close your eyes and kind of what pops up, and it's kind of like this dreamy way. And this segment is a bit hard to explain exactly what happens in it. One thing that I can say, that I didn't find the music the most memorable with this one. It was maybe more visually for me this time, and the only thing that I can clearly kind of say that happens is that in a cloud shot, there suddenly just appears these violin strings when the actual violins are playing.
I also think we forgot to mention at the beginning of the segment, instead of like hand-drawn visuals, you have background scenes of the orchestra playing. And I think those were wonderful as well. With those starkly different colors like pinks and yellows and blues and reds, and like exposing the shadows of the band being multiplied on the big screen. And I wrote to all that you can smoke weed to this.
Yeah, that was kind of something that made this movie popular in the 80s. Not gonna lie.
Also, I've also noted that the conductor in the beginning, there were a lot of like pink and blue lights shining from underground, and I wrote bisexual lightning. What could they mean by this?
What is the secret meaning behind these lights?
Is it because Stokowski is perhaps bi? I don't know, but I think I enjoy. As I'm gonna admit, as you said, I think this movie peaked in the first segments.
This was the one that you liked the most.
Yes.
A specific reason?
I think it's the only one that inspired me to just in general. I think when I watched the performance with the orchestra, it gave me kind of ideas for role playing games, how I could use this imagery in D&D or Monster of the Week. And it was also the case with the next segment, but this one, it made me it made my imagination run.
Well, that's good. Might as well also mention that the one that is presenting all these segments and music is someone may named Deems Taylor, who is kind of the presenter of the film, I guess you can say.
Who is he? Is he also like some known figure like Stokowski?
Yeah, he's an American composer, radio commentator, music critic, and author.
So he's also in the arts. We can also he has a good radio voice, so I guess that's why he had the role of presenter.
Yeah, he explains things in a good way. So sometimes I felt like it was a bit weird when he explained like everything that was going to happen before you even saw the segment.
Yeah, I found that weird too. Like, why?
Like sometimes he literally explained exactly what was going to happen and okay.
And that didn't feel necessary. Some of the later installments, what am I saying? Some of the later stories are pretty self-explanatory. And a lot of the time I felt that his explanations felt a little bit pretentious. For example, with the later segment about ballet, he mentioned that it's like this time it's not some native dances, but like a full experience of color and sound. It's like, but why are you dissing ballet? It's still a very nice art form.
Okay,
I think we're drifting off the topic. Should we go to the next segment?
Yeah, I guess so. The problem, I guess, with the first segment is that there's not really much to say. It was very, I guess, fun in a simple way.
Yeah.
Okay, next segment we have Nutcracker Suit, which was, and if we're talking about the conductor, Nutcracker Suit, he said that the composer of the Nutcracker Suit, it was like the piece that he hated the most, but it became his most popular work by far.
It's ironic, but didn't also the same thing happen with Dr. Conan Doyle and his Sherlock stories?
Yeah, that has probably happened to a lot of people, I feel like.
Yeah.
where they just gotta keep putting out these works because maybe for money reason when they hate it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at one point, I know I'm derailing us again, but at one point I know that he tried to kill Sherlock and then brought him back because there was so much mail and so much like pleading from the fans for more stories.
He also kind of said that the Nutcracker Suit and the kind of ballet it was based on, like nothing of it really survived except for the title itself, the Nutcracker, and instead it became a segment about I guess the changing of the seasons.
Yeah.
Like winter, spring, summer, and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It went through all of the different seasons, and I have to say, this is my second. This is the second segment that I like the most.
Oh, so it's just going. It almost feels like a slide going down for you.
There is a segment that kind of saved it at the end, but yes.
Yeah, the Nutcracker Suit is. If I'm being honest, this probably is my my favorite segment of the bunch in the films. Like I just like this. Like I found the music more rememberable with this segment. I found the visuals accompanying it interesting, and I like the kind of theme of changing seasons, and sometimes there comes fairies into the picture, and how they kind of change the seasons themselves in small ways.
Yeah, and I agree. It was very fanciful. I love the colors. I love how everything was so readable. Like I liked how it all felt so delicate. I love this ice skating scene, which you have. I'm thankful that you put on the screen as well, because it was just so fanciful. I could already imagine, like, oh, if I want to write a story about pixies, this is of course a thing that they could do. And I also noted, I think I also have some notes about this. Oh, so the mushrooms. I just wanted to ask, are they the inspiration for the like mushroom challenges in Kingdom Hearts 3?
I have no idea, but there's a chance to that, I guess.
Because just the like silhouettes and how they look just immediately reminded me of Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
But who knows? Maybe that's not the case.
Yeah, maybe. Well, it is a Disney-inspired game, so sure. Did you know that in Kingdom Hearts 3 or Dream Drop Distance, there actually is a world that is based on Fantasia?
I did not know that. Actually.
It's like one of the last ones. Well, anyway. So, yeah, I kind of... This is one that I kind of like. This segment is kind of the one that I like most visually and musically. I had a lot of fun with each one. It was both artful and interesting to look at, I feel.
I agree, and I wouldn't mind just sitting down and looking at it again.
And then we have the one that started it all. The Sorcerer's Apprentice. So, what did you feel about this one, Karol?
I think it was alright. I think maybe because this segment is so well known, it's kind of making me feel like it's overplayed, or what is the word that I'm looking for? Like it's great. We see the classic story of Mickey being apprentice of Marilyn.
Yen
Sid. And
do you know what Yen Sid's name is backwards?
Disney.
Ah.
Which mirrors how it's in real life.
Kind of a detail there the animators put, if I remember correctly.
But I liked it. There's a lot of neat little details in the segment. One of them is, I think, because the story goes, Mickey steals the hat of his master. He commands a broom to do his bidding, and then he goes to sleep. And then all hell breaks loose. But during his sleep, when he's commanding the stars from the heavens and like the planets, there's also some neat little details when he's commanding the water. Like when the waves splash on top of the rock, the image of Mickey is also distorted in the water for a brief moment.
I kind of like looking at the water in some scenes and just see how colorful they made it. Like there's one scene where Mickey is going down kind of a spiral with his with the magic book. And,
yeah, I noticed it too.
And it's kind of just a lot of different colors that they put to this water.
Yeah, it's like not only like it could be just easy to make it like fully blue and white, but it's not. It's like mint, yellow, dark blue, light blue. It's just like this. It feels magical.
Yeah, he is a sorcerer. One thing that I can mention with this segment is that all of the other segments, when I watched this for the first time, they were new for me, with the exception of one, which was just the Sorcerer's Apprentice, because this segment was put in separately in a VHS tape of Mickey Mouse cartoons when I was young. I guess it stood out for me when it was young, because a lot of the other ones were a bit shorter with a bit more humor. This kind of felt a bit more serious.
Yeah, like it's still a nicely animated, funny story, but it's not about jokes. It's just Mickey Mouse messing up.
Do you feel like this is the most famous segment from this film?
I think so. Yeah, I think this is it. This is when I think about Fantasia.
Well, it is a very I would say that this is a very good segment, and yeah, a very visual and actually has quite a clear story this time.
Yeah, and I think that's why maybe it's so memorable, since the other stories, I mean, the upcoming one kind of has a story, or at least some of the later down the road. But it's different enough, and I guess it's because of Mickey, it's recognizable enough as well.
I do find it very interesting that they took a very animated cartoon character and actually managed to put him in this more serious of tone, and it actually kind of worked.
I think it's maybe not because like nowadays it's not that unheard of to put animated characters in serious situations, but I think back then maybe it was a little bit unexpected.
Yeah, it's a good segment, and the first appearance of Ian Sid.
Yeah. Also, I wrote, I was watching this very late at night, so I wrote that Yen Sid can get it.
Okay, why?
I don't know. I'm reading my notes and I'm trying to understand why. Like I guess a little bit, but like he's not like super handsome, right?
No, he's. Do you like tall or long beards, Carol?
I guess I do.
Okay. I usually feel like Ian Sid in this segment is looking kind of angry a lot of times.
Maybe it's I don't know. Maybe yeah, because like usually like he's pretty chill, right? Like even in Kingdom Hearts, but like here, character a little bit. Maybe I'm gonna say some stupid stuff again. Maybe let's go to the next segment.
I just kind of would want to say one last thing, and this probably the Sorcerer's Apprentice probably has my favorite bit in the whole film, when Mickey is in this dream-like sequence, and he is kind of up in a mountain and playing with the stars. That might be my favorite bit of the whole film.
Yeah, and I agree. Like I think we as I mentioned before, it was during like, yeah, I totally agree.
We can move on to the next one if you want.
Yeah, that's all right.
And now we have The Rite of Spring, which the conductor, I guess, kind of explained that this was a kind of this one feel a bit like a history lesson in some way, or a history lesson of what you knew back then. And that is kind of the segment kind of starts out that you're in space, and then you move closer and closer to Earth, which at this time point is just kind of lots of different volcanoes, lava, and water, I guess.
This is also as you said, this is kind of like the history lesson. But this is also the segment where I started to drift off.
Yeah, it's had that effect on me too, if I'm being honest.
It's
and if I'm going to kind of explain a little bit further. And then in the segments, we are in the water for a bit of time, and it's kind of what is called in English, Karol?
Can you see it in Swedish? Maybe I can find the right word.
Is it called atoms in?
Yeah, it's like we're like zooming in to microscopic levels. We're seeing the molecules in action. We're seeing like meiosis and mitosis.
Yeah, and we kind of see how they evolves in time, and time passes, and they can become bigger and bigger, and at some points they wander. Some of them wanders into land and becomes dinosaurs, which is kind of what is the next on what is kind of happening in this. It's kind of the how dinosaurs lived and how I guess they think they died.
Yeah, exactly. But how do I say it? It's not that interesting. I'm sorry. And
No,
also
I can totally agree with you.
And also maybe the music, it also became forgettable.
Yeah, this is probably the weakest segment, and probably by far, if I'm being honest. For some reason there's nothing I find that interesting about. Like, if you were going to explain this to me, oh, it's a segment with dinosaurs, then you would think that it would be interesting. But I guess this short is kind of more grounded. Like, it was very they tried to make this kind of accurate. With the other ones, they just heard music and kind of drew whatever they wanted.
Yeah, but also I think when they introduced the segment, they mentioned that it's not only accurate, but also it's scientific.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's maybe the point where, like, I have two theories for this. So A, they maybe leaned too hard into this being scientific, since it became uninteresting. But also, this whole spiel about this being so scientifically accurate made me feel like this was just Disney maybe showing, oh, animated movies, not only for kids, it could be also for adults, for educational purposes, right?
Mm. Well, to be fair, I have heard that this segment was shown in some different school in Americas for a while, and I guess this is like one thing that is interesting is that this was probably the best representation of how dinosaurs looked for quite probably a long while.
Yeah, and it also helps that it was nicely animated, and it's, how long is it? It's 10-15 minutes long?
This segment?
Yeah.
I don't. They differ in length, so I don't really know.
But it's interesting to know that it was shown in schools, because it definitely feels like it's something we would have seen.
Yeah, it has that very some school feeling, I guess.
And actually, is there anything else you would like to say about this segment?
Not really. I guess it was a little bit interesting for kind of a learning bit. Like, if you're showing this to a kid very young, then it might be a little bit interesting for them to learn, I guess.
Because right after this segment, the announcer mentioned a 15-minute intermission, and
right.
And everybody was just like walking off stage, and I was like, wait, are you gonna have like an actual 15-minute blank space in the middle of this movie?
That I have watched some other older films, and that is sometimes something that comes up, where they kind of just take a bit of a break to I guess make people stretch their legs and go and buy something in the shop. It does happen in kind of like the longer films, like 3-hour films. That it was you could see some of those in older movies.
But I don't think it's a bad idea. Like, please introduce this back into modern movies. Like, yeah, 50 minutes. Let me grab some popcorn or go to the toilet.
It's kind of something that I feel like a lot of movies nowadays become longer and longer, and what I mean by that is that the kind of middle length of a film is becoming longer and longer. Like there has always been long films that has been like 3 hours and things like that, but I just feel like a normal film nowadays is kind of 2 hours, when for a couple of years ago it was like 1 hour and
like an hour and a half.
Half an hour. Yeah.
And yeah, and maybe this, I don't want to call it, I want to say bloat, but I guess, at least personally for me, I'm okay with shorter movies. Like 2 hours, it's a long time, and some of the movies nowadays are even longer, and it's a big time investment, and sometimes you just have stuff to do during the day.
But sometimes something that I do wonder with these older films that has kind of this segment of where they kind of are like taking a break. Sometimes I wonder for the future releases, why didn't they kind of just or the DVD releases, why didn't they kind of just cut out that kind of break bit?
It is interesting. But
because I remember like the first time I saw a break for, or an intermission break for a film with Audrey Hepburn. What was it called? It was a musical. She's All That. No,
there is a musical called that. It could be it.
Yeah. But suddenly for just like 5 minutes of the screen time, it's kind of just that. No, nothing is happening, and the film is waiting for people to come in from
from the Louvre, from the confectionery stand.
Yeah, so it's just kind of me sitting there and wondering, why did I can understand if you had this in the theaters, but why didn't you remove it for like the Blu-ray or DVD release?
I mean, it's extra work, and I think in case of at least Fantasia, well, there is this time between the end of the last segment and the beginning of new segment, right? And
yeah, for Fantasia, I feel like it would be actually pretty hard to cut that bit out.
Yeah, like how would you stitch these two together? There would have to be like a rapid jump between the end of either Rite of Spring and the next segment, or they will have to be like some dead air when they finish the segment and then just jumps to right after they all come back on stage.
Yeah, and after they come into the stage again, we are introduced to, I guess, the next segment, the Pastoral Symphony. Karol, do you want to explain what this one is about?
Yes, so this is, let me see. I'm looking at my notes again.
The one about Greek mythology.
Yes, so the presenter mentioned Olympus, and this is about Greek mythology, vaguely. It's about these Pegasi, gallantly, charmingly, just like flying through the air. How gracious they are. We see like a mom Pegasus and a dad Pegasus, and they venture through the lands, and it's also pretty and nice. And afterwards we stumble upon centaur girls, and they're being gussied up by some cherubs because the guy centaurs are here for a visit, and they have to look nice for them so that they can get the romance on. And all as this is happening, a party begins to start. They all begin singing and dancing. Of course, there's no singing because this is a musical thing. And they start making wine, and Dionysus turns up with his donkey unicorn, and they all merrily make wine and party until Zeus ends up raining on their parade, literally by throwing thunders, by striking lightning at Dionysus. It all turns into this dark, dark, quick segment with rising music, with wind picking up, with Pegasi flying around, everyone getting wet, and then it stops, and that's that.
Yeah, a kind of, I guess, day in the land of the gods, I guess, and all its creatures.
Yeah, and I wrote some notes about this. Namely, I think this is the one that got censored, right?
Oh, do you want to say, yeah, this one got a bit of censored in one scene, or maybe two scenes, I don't exactly know.
Yes, because they were like the centaur girls, they're all pretty fair and white and ladylike, but in the original version I think they also had some less ladylike centaurs who are pretty much like racist stereotypes.
Yeah, exactly. There was one scene where one of the centaurs were getting kind of her foot massage, I guess, by a stereotype.
Yes, and let's say people didn't really like that, and since then this scene has been removed.
No, it hasn't been removed. It's a close-up shot of just the unicorn now.
Really? I haven't noticed it.
Yeah. I guess it's kind of well done in that aspect that you don't notice it, but instead of removing the scene, they just kind of did a close-up of just the normal-looking centaur, even though they are not really that normal-looking because every single centaur is a different color.
Yeah, I mean it just shows how well they've hid that scene. But I also have to say, like, the animation on the centaurs is pretty nice. It's I imagine it's a nightmare to animate 4 hooves per character with so many on screen.
Yeah, I started to think about after a while that this has a lot of different horses in it. Like there's Pegasus, there's centaurs, and there's like unicorns also in it.
Yeah, there's like a donkey in the later scenes. Like, my God, this must have taken a lot of work. I think I wrote. So, in midpoint of this segment, there are many cherubs abound, and they decide, oh, the male centaurs are coming, so we gotta dress up the lady centaurs. And I wrote, we gotta dress these sluts up. Because it's like, why? Like,
we gotta look pretty for the boys.
Exactly. Like, I know it's like all mythical and all.
So they want to mate with me.
Exactly. Like, the boys are here. We gotta, like, these girls. They gotta look. they gotta look ready for action.
I also remember when the god of wine comes in. He's kind of drunk throughout the segment, and at one point he's kind of just chasing all the girl centaurs.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, so what does this imply? Would Dionysus perhaps fall for a centaur?
Yeah, probably. So some of the Greek stories that I have heard, the Greek gods would pretty much fuck anything.
Yeah, they got pretty freaky with it.
Yeah, and then I guess Zeus in this tale is kind of like a party pooper. Like he just kind of starts to throw lightning for no reason at these people.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he was for a while. I was thinking maybe he would join the party since yeah, he fucked pretty much everything. Um, but he didn't. He started just to mess everything up with his lightning.
One thing that I do really like with this segment is that it's very very colorful. I feel like I feel like this segment used the use of color in probably the best way.
Yeah, I agree. It's all very dreamy. Like I loved how, for example, I think it was the beginning shot how they made the Mount Olympus, and it's all very blue and like it's all very like night blue, cold. But with time, as the sun is shining onto the land, it all becomes like so colorful and nice. And I kept thinking, like, how did they do that? Like, was this like individually drawn, like, uh, pictures, or was this like switching cells? Like, I want to know how they did that. How did they transition?
Let's see. I don't exactly remember the moment you're talking about. So it is a bit hard for me to say that.
It's all right. I'll show you afterwards. It's basically the beginning of this segment of Pastoral Symphony.
Hmm. Let's see. This this short also or this segment probably also reminded me the most out of all of the, or not the most, but at this point in the film, this was the short segment that reminded me most of this. It had the most Disney feeling for me at this point in the film. Like all the other didn't feel that much of Disney's in the past. This felt a bit to it for me. If that made any sense.
No, it makes sense. I can totally see what you mean. Yeah, it felt very, very Disney-like, right?
Yeah, at least it's kind of silly symphony vibes if you know that series. But a bigger budget, I guess, and with Greek mythology.
Yeah.
I don't know. Actually had a bit of fun with this one. It was kind of just fun to see what they came up with.
So, do you feel like we should go to the next segment?
Yeah.
Okay.
What was your end feeling about this one? Did you like it?
I liked it more than Rite of Spring.
Ah, okay. That's something. And then we have Dance of the Hours, which, if I remember correctly, when they were making this film, the music for this segment had kind of gotten a bit of a weird reputation or something. I don't exactly remember, and so they found this one to be the most be kind of good to have a segment with dancing animals to it.
So, what do you mean with bad reputation?
Maybe more that the music for this one, a lot of people felt was overrated for a while, if I understood it correctly.
Oh, okay. So at the time it was just like an overplayed music piece.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's like if they were it's like if they were putting like Taylor Swift greatest hit in the, I'm sorry for the comparison, I don't know what came over me.
I feel like a good comparison maybe would be Frozen, a thing that is really popular, but some people just feel, or people just dislike because it is so popular.
Yeah, I think that's a better comparison.
If I understood that correctly, but yeah, we have a segment where a bunch of different animals are dancing ballet, including ostriches, hippopotamus, crocodiles, and elephants.
Yeah, this is my second to last least favorite segment. I felt like with the previous one there was at least like a I don't know, some type of story or vibe that I could enjoy. But here it's ballet performance turned like a duet, turned into a fight, turned into I don't know. This is where I was started like really zoning out. I and also while I enjoyed the dancing, I kind of disliked all the bubbles.
Did you just like the bubbles?
Which is ironic since our podcast is themed around bubbles, but I don't know. I just felt like the other stories had more striking
they aren't
visuals.
Bubble approved. Well, one thing that I also find a bit weird is that when the crocodiles are kind of chasing the hippopotamus, are they like wanting love, or are they wanting to eat them?
I think it's implied they want to eat them, but since this is like a musical, they can't really show them fighting. It's like violent dancing.
This segment, I guess, can be a bit of a, if you, I think you might have you might like this more if you just started with, or if you just saw this segment by itself. Like at this point, we had seen, we are getting a bit longer into the movie. We have seen a lot of segments. The time is.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's a good. I think that's a good point. If this was by itself, or maybe earlier in the movie, I would have been more receptive to it. Because like the previous bits were just better.
Yeah. I kind of wonder what the thought process was in the order of the segment. Was this supposed to kind of be some kind of thing of, okay, now people might be a little bit tired, so let's put some a bit more fun segment by the end. Like I'm not.
It could be like it's definitely more action oriented, let's say. And it's also way more, it's also more true to like just regular cartoons.
This is probably the most regional cartoon bit that is in Fantasia. I don't really find anything that really good in it, but not extremely bad anything in it either. It's kind of just a bunch of animal dancing ballet. And I'm probably not the biggest ballet fan, if I'm being honest.
True. I haven't I like to go see like events, but I've never been to like an actual ballet show. So maybe I cannot appreciate fully what they done here. I'm just not into ballet.
Yeah, and then we have the last segment, or the last two, which is put together. We have Night on Bald Mountain and Ava Maria, and it's kind of supposed to be a contrast between the dark and the light in some way. We have the literal devil at first summoning spirits and taking those spirits and burning them, and I guess reconstructing them for fun, and
into hot ladies.
yeah, and kind of just keep this process going of burning them for fun, and yeah, kind of dancing. And Something that I was wondering while I was watching this is this the darkest thing Disney has ever kind of done? The literal devil himself,
Well,
the dancing.
I mean, the themes are dark, right? As you said, it's the literal
Yeah.
devil. There's skeleton horses, dead people rising from the grave, and it's like transforming devils into like fire and all. But I don't think it's really the darkest thing that Disney has ever produced. Like,
No, maybe not. Yeah, like even though it is very dark, it doesn't feel like it feels very. I don't exactly know the word for this.
atmospheric?
Yeah, atmospheric might be a good word for this. So it doesn't feel like that dark in some way.
Because this segment for me feels like a cutaway from the main story of a Disney movie, and we see what like the main bad guy is up to, right?
Yeah, maybe.
And it also kind of ties into like the legacy of Disney, I want to say, like in like let's say even Tornrosa. How do you say it in English? Cinderella.
Yeah.
So
What about Cinderella?
I wanted to say like the like I don't know, just the darkness and the evilness of it really reminds me of Maleficent in those movies.
A good testing point, I guess. Yeah, and then as it becomes morning, the search bells are ringing, and the search bells, I guess, have the power to make the devil go away for a while at least. And we have this segment where people is are walking with the kind of lights lights on their hands to I guess church.
This might be the part where I fell asleep. As I've been hinting on all throughout this episode, I kind of slowly began losing interest the longer the movie became.
Yeah, it kind of, I guess it has a bit of that problem to it. There's nothing much to say about the Eva Maria part. It's just kind of slowly showing people walking to some place, and then it kind of just after a while, it ends. It's very. This short is very what's the word I'm searching for? Symbolic? No. This short very much tries to get you kind of an inner feeling more than any of the other segments. You could say. Like get those inner emotion of, oh, this is kind of beautiful.
Yeah, I guess. as I
I do know that a lot of people that like this film a lot, like this is kind of one of the most most well liked segment of the film actually. Like there are some people that find this last segment really powerful, I guess.
I think I might just be a hipster then. I think I might just start to own it.
Well, I can say that I found a little bit of beauty in the last part, but I'm not sure if I would say that this was entirely entertaining for me.
Yeah. So as you like, yeah, as you said, like it's beautiful, but maybe not as entertaining.
Yeah, and at this point you're kind of like you're probably a bit tired because hearing a lot of pieces to or music pieces to animation is apparently a really tiring process. So you kind of,
I mean, for 2 hours.
yeah, that's the bit that is a bit weird, I guess, because it felt longer, right?
It really did. I think it's just I guess in some ways, because there is no dialogue, right? There is no like action. It's just like this plateau of this being like, you know how there's like a story, like how you create a story, like, and it accelerates so that there's like more action, and it drops off and then picks up again.
Beginning, middle, and end.
Exactly. But here it's just like straight line, keeping at the same level. And with time, your attention begins to drift off since there's. I mean, it's been 2 hours. There isn't much, like as you said, it's beautiful, but it's still there isn't enough enough things to grab your attention.
What did you feel about this? Because this film is kind of unique in that, I guess, sense of the world where that there is not a lot of. Have you ever seen a movie like this where it's kind of just the music and what the music kind of tells you put in animation or art form?
I kind of want to say, what's the movie? Interstellar 3000? What's the name? You know the movie, the Daft Punk one.
The Daft Punk one, heavy metal?
No. So, quite a while ago, Daft Punk created a movie, Interstellar 3000, I think.
Oh, okay, now I remember. It's the one with the blue people,
yes,
right?
Exactly. And and that one is also without any dialogue, if I remember. It's just music. And I think, I mean, I did. As I said, I've seen Interstellar 5555. I can't. It sounds so weird when I say it. So it's not like this wasn't like a unique experience for me. And I think.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
But what did you feel about the Fantasia experience, I guess, then?
Just like overall, what were my thoughts of it?
Yeah, overall.
Okay, well, I think the earliest segments, I liked them better than the later ones. And I don't know if it was because of the fatigue or because of the themes, but for me, the movie peaked at for me at Takota de Fug and Nutcracker Suite, and then we had a neat moment with Frequency. I think it was. What was the little line's name?
Well, the first segment.
No. Because between Fantasia and Rite of Spring, there was this little moment with animated visualizer.
Oh, that's the sound line.
Sound wave.
Yeah. That was a bit of fun, actually.
Yeah, I think it was like a nice breakaway from the action.
Unfortunately it wasn't long enough for me to put it as an own segment.
Yeah, I mean it was just basically the artist's visualization of the sound, and it was called the soundtrack. I wrote it down.
Here it is. Don't be shy.
It was cute. What did you think of the movie?
There's some parts I like better than others. Like I found the Rite of Spring actually really boring. There are some that I found visually interesting, but entertainingly interesting, not a lot. I do remember that the first time I watched this, I liked it a bit more. I might have been in a better mood than when I watched this for the preparation for this video. I found that it felt a bit long drawn in a way. Actually, do you want to rank the segments?
We could.
So the Rite of Spring, I feel like we both can agree on that would probably be last.
Exactly.
Then I feel like second to last would be Dance of the Hours.
Yes.
Maybe I doesn't have that much into it.
There were still some segments of the Dance of Hours that were entertaining. I like the designs of the crocodiles. They were so silly.
Yeah, there's parts in each segment that I still like. But I guess if we're talking about the whole experience,
It's definitely above Rite of Spring, but I wouldn't rank it higher than anything else.
Okay, what would you want to rank next?
For me, personally, it would have been Night on the Bald Mountain.
I would probably have put Toka and Figure in D minor next.
Which is also fair, I feel like.
And then I guess, well, how many segments do we have left? We have the Pastoral Symphony, we have the Sorcerer's Apprentice, and
Nutcracker Suite.
Nutcracker Suite. So I would probably say number 3, the Pastoral Symphony, number 2, Sorcerer's Apprentice, and number 1, Nutcracker Suite.
Yeah, so our lists are pretty much the same, save for the placement of the first one, which I think is all right.
So we think alike sometimes, I guess.
Thank God. What a nightmare would it be if we didn't.
Okay, so this was, I guess, our video on Fantasia.
And of course, this is Fantasia is pretty visual, so we recommend seeing this movie for yourself as well.
I almost feel like this movie. I almost would recommend seeing each of the segments like a separate time. Maybe that would make it a bit more fun.
I agree. Like on its own, each segment is wonderful, but because of the runtime, the later segments are not that exciting.
Well, I guess we can end it here then.
Yeah.
As always, thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this as much as we have. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and hit that button with passion. Also big thanks to Jahzzar for our intro and outro Comedie. See you again in the next episode and have a wonderful day.